Okay, Peter. So, great show, great matchroom show this weekend. And I wanted to talk about the fight of the night, the Ebony Bridges Shannon Courtenay fight. It was an incredible fight. Had a big build up. It was very interesting, I think, in the whole context of things that have gone on. I mean, women's boxing has really blossomed during this lockdown. Obviously we had the Eddie Hearn fight camp, the Matchroom fight camp in the Matchroom Gardens last summer. We had some amazing performances from Katie Taylor, Savannah Marshall, among others. And then, of course, we've gone forward now. We've got Ebony Bridges, Shannon Courtenay. The build up to this fight was very interesting. And, as you know, I've got declared interest. We've had Ebony on this show a few times, talking, very personable, great to chat to, very insightful, obviously knows her boxing very well as well. So she came in as a replacement for Rachel Ball to fight for this title because Rachel has a bit of long COVID. So, hopefully she'll be better soon and ready to fight, Shannon for this WBA title. But this is how it came about. So we had the WBA bantamweight title and we had Shannon Courtenay against Ebony Bridges. Now, a lot of the British fans didn't know Ebony. And coming into this fight, she didn't have a high profile, but she was, she obviously looks fantastic, and she had a bit of a profile because at the weigh-ins, she tends to wear this lingerie, which looks incredible. She looks good, she chats well. And so she was getting a lot of attention for that, and that was heavily criticised by Shannon Courtenay, particularly, saying, look, this is not about a lingerie contest coming in, what she's going to wear at the weigh-in. It's all about what happens in the ring, and Ebony, to be fair to her, was saying, yes, it is all about what happens in the ring. But I'm trying to bring different eyes to this sport. I'm trying to get attention. I'm trying to put bums on seats, and then they will see how good I am in the ring. So the build-up was a little bit acrimonious, and but it was interesting watching the forums, watching everything in the build-up to this fight. Ebony did get slated quite a bit. All right, that when she had the weigh-in, she came in wearing what she wore. It kind of broke the internet. It was shared everywhere. You noticed people in the gym looking at it and everything else, and talking about it. But there was a lot of yes, but she can't fight on the forums. Yes, but she can't fight was the constantly repeated mantra. And this is a joke. And people were saying, this is a gift for Shannon Courtenay. Shannon Courtenay shouldn't be fighting Ebony Bridges for a world title. All right, they obviously haven't had a lot of pro experience between them, and they can't be blamed for that because the talent pool isn't that deep. It's getting deeper all the time, but it's not that deep in women's boxing compared to men's. But they were saying this is a gift to Shannon Courtenay. She'll blow away Ebony Bridges, no problem. So of course, then we came to the fight. And, a few people in fight camp were saying, we didn't really rate Ebony Bridges before, but actually talking to her, really, she's very serious, and this is going to be a hell of a fight. So, we came to the fight and, I'm going to preview and I'm going to agree with Steve Bunce. Steve Bunce on Radio 5 Live said this is probably the best women's boxing fight we've ever had in the UK. And there's some competition for that because I've just talked about what happened, in fight camp last year. So, yeah, the fight was incredible right from the off. The two fighters kind of set their stalls out. Courtenay had that better amateur boxing background and really wanted to box and move, use her feet, use her jab, which she did quite effectively. And Ebony was determined to bring it to her, to get in close, to bob and weave in, use the hooks, use the uppercuts, all that sort of thing. So they set the stall out early, and like I said, but Courtenay kept getting dragged into that fight that Ebony wanted her in. She couldn't get out of it because, Ebony was pursuing so relentlessly and also using good footwork to cut the ring down, and keep pinning Courtenay on the ropes. So, that was the first round. The second round, Ebony came on very strong. She did look so strong in there. She did look absolutely ball strong, and it was relentless. The pace was relentless. Obviously, the women boxed 2-minute rounds. It was 10 2-minute rounds. Neither fighter had been 10 rounds before. They'd both been 8. So, it was a bit of unknown territory for them. But, the pace was relentless. The shots were just firing off all the time. And there were lots of skills on display. Like I say, you very much had Ebony pursuing it, making the fight, constantly coming forward, constantly putting pressure on Courtenay. You had Courtenay, tangling her with it when she could, when she had to, but some great shots, moving off on the jab and using her feet. So it was great boxing skills on display, as well as great tenacity. And the fight was swinging backwards and forwards. They were both having success with their respective styles, and Ebony was having success with the jab, and Courtenay was having success inside sometimes. So it ebbed and flowed like any great fight does. And it was great action. Courtenay seemed to come back, back on top a bit, and then Ebony came out and had a fantastic 7th round. After the 8th round, I had it, as the TV commentators had it, I had it even. So it was all to play for going into the last 2 rounds. The problem we've got to say is early on, I don't know if it was a clash of heads or something, but Courtenay did get a cut on the side of her head. There was a bit of blood, but her corner seemed to stem very well. But from the third round on, you could see that Bridges, was obviously, she was coming forward all the time. The right hand of Courtenay was landing as well as the jab, and there was swelling over the left eye. And then, so they came out for the ninth, and it was very even in the ninth. It was torrid back and forth. Ebony pushing forward, and it was a really exciting fight. And then Courtenay seemed to come on strong. She landed another big right hand in the ninth. She had landed a big right hand in the fifth, which had dipped Ebony's knees. But every time Ebony was ever in trouble, she came back fighting. A classic definition of what they always used to call the great little Aussie battler. Oh my God, she had some heart. But the ninth, it swung Courtenay's way in the second half of the round. And this was the point, I believe, when Ebony stopped being able to see out of the left eye. The swelling was very big. And so that round, the ninth round, I thought was clearly carried because of the second minute by Courtenay. So Ebony went down and sat down on a stool at the start of the ninth round. The thing is, with no crowds at the moment, you can hear exactly what's going on in the corner. And, Ebony did sit down on the stool and say, I can't see out of my left eye anymore. And the left eye was completely shut. Now, I think they would have been justified, her corner or her, in calling it off at that point. I don't know if people really realise how bad it is, an injury like that in boxing, because, and it reminded me of the Chris Eubank in his last fight of a cruiserweight against Carl Thompson. He had a swelled eye like that. He couldn't see out of, and the ref stopped the fight. So, what that means is that you can't really see the right hands coming. And as she's a come forward fighter, and Ebony was suffering with the right hands that were coming over from Courtenay. So, it's a really bad injury. It also ruins your depth perception. So you can't exactly see where the other opponent is. So not only are you going to catch shots, especially from the right hand that you don't see coming, you're also not going to really struggle to land your own because you can't really judge exactly where your opponent is. And obviously in boxing, such a fast-moving sport. But Ebony came out for the 10th round, and she kept going, and she kept pursuing Courtenay. She made a real fight of it. Courtenay decided to get up on her toes, use the jab and move. Thought she'd obviously done enough, stay out of trouble. But it was a very competitive 10th round. At the end of it, I had Courtenay winning by 1, maybe 2 rounds. I thought that the scorecards were very unfair. They didn't do justice to what was a back and forth, ebb and flow fight. It was absolutely superb. And again, but obviously Courtenay got the decision, and fair play to her. She's a world champion. It's brilliant to come back from that Rachel Ball defeat, and she really proved her mettle in there, as Ebony did. And again, I come back to that Steve Bunce thing, which is give it sort of the validity of not just me saying it, but I think it was the best, women's boxing match that we've had in this country. It was incredible, and it had everything. It had great skills, and it had great heart. It had ebb and flow. It had everything you want from a great, intense boxing match. And, at the end, like I say, I had Courtenay just ahead. I didn't think the scorecards were very fair. It didn't reflect the fight and the effort that Ebony had put in. But, I think the important thing is I then went back on the forums. I was looking at what people were saying again. And, fair play. There was a lot of people on there who tipped their hats. And what else could they say but she can fight? She really can fight. So after all that criticism, I think she won through. So it was definitely, for Ebony Bridges, a moral victory. She's not just about the good looks and the way in. There's a lot of substance there. And oh my God, is she a fighter? Is she a battler? Has she got heart? Because she kept fighting with that closed eye, and she kept bringing the fight to Courtenay all the way through. And I think it's brilliant, and it sets up a great little, some great fights now. I we'd love to see Courtenay Bridges again. I don't think that fight's going to be able to disappoint those two. And of course, Rachel Ball is out there looking for the winner. And then, and will she fight Bridges, as she was slated to before Ebony got injured? So, it's a great standard bearer for women's boxing. It means that there's, hopefully a lot of people, are finally accepting that women's boxing is just boxing. It's exciting, it's thrilling. The girls do have skills, they have heart, they have tenacity, they have everything that people look for in a fighter to make an exciting fight, and it's all there. It was all on display on Saturday night in that Courtenay Bridges fight. So hats off to them. Really exciting time for women's boxing. Hats off to Shannon Courtenay becoming a world champion. That's absolutely fantastic. Lots of exciting fights down the line for her. Like I say, hopefully we'll see Rachel Ball back, but Ebony Bridges has arrived. She showed that she's not just glamour. She's shut a lot of people up. And I don't think anybody who now says she can't fight. My God, that girl can fight.